Hi, my name is Vivian Gibson. Welcome to the Mississippi Circle of Hope program. Today we're going to be talking about holiday depression during the holiday season. With me are Lisa Davis, Dr. Gwen Sanders, and Elder Dolores Thompson. Ladies, as we've talked about this subject over the last several weeks, we've talked about our own experiences with depression during the holiday season. For me, it's all the cooking, all the shopping, getting behind on things that just really kind of push me to the point where I have to write down everything and then prioritize those things. What about you guys?
Personally, for me, after the death of my mother, I had to create a way where the family would get together just to commemorate her death. So every year what we do, we go on a trip, and that kind of get us through the holidays of, not missing what Mom used to do.
Yeah.
I think with me, I am somewhat overwhelmed because I have my 9-year-old twins, and their expectations are very high. And as an older mother, I am kind of dragging some days because I am working, and usually after work I'm pretty tired. But their level is so high that they keep me rolling. But what I have to do is prioritize. I have to first make the steps of putting things in order. And the first thing I've done, I at least have my Christmas tree up without decoration. So we're moving slowly, but we're going to make it happen.
Yeah, I tell you, and you never know when you have kids as they get older. My son Chad, he made me feel I am really behind. Where's the Christmas tree, Mom? When are you going to put the Christmas tree up? And every day I said, I'm going to get the Christmas tree up. So anyway, yesterday I went upstairs, and guess what? The tree was up. And I said, oh, you are serious about this Christmas tree. Dr. Elder Thompson, have you had any experiences with holiday blues or depression during the season?
Yes, I have. I reared my children as a single parent, and we were into the holidays and everything when we were all together. But now they're all grown and married and gone away. And so I went through a period at one point where I didn't even want to put up a tree. But then I came to the point that I couldn't allow that to get the best of me during the holidays. And so what I did a few years back, I just put up a Christmas tree the last of October, and that helped me to get through the holidays.
Yeah. And I'll tell you another experience that I had during the holiday season. 9/11 was such a hard, bad time for us as Americans. I decided, I think 2 days after 9/11, to put up a Christmas tree. I started decorating the house, just putting up Christmas things, just to bring out some happiness and that we're going to get through this as Americans. So you never really know exactly what you're going to do, but I guess all of us want our each year to be better, and we build it up and maybe build up anxiety in ourselves as well, which isn't good.
Yeah, my boys, I said, okay, get your Christmas list together because I wanted to get a head start. Well, when I got one list from my 13-year-old, it was like, okay, I want an iPad, an iPod, an iPhone, a laptop, and I started feeling depressed because I'm like, okay, with the economy like it is now, I do not have the funds to get all the eyes that I ask. I asked for the list, and this is what I received. So those are some of the things we feel overwhelmed when our kids ask us for things that we just feel like is kind of impossible to do because you want to please them, especially during the holidays.
And too, the items that our kids ask for today, when my kids was little, teddy bears, little dolls, tea sets, but now you're talking about electronics.
Exactly.
You're talking about $500, $400 iPods. Exactly. So even that can push you into a degree of depression, not being able to do that. But I would say just try to monitor, prioritize things. Dr. Sanders, you have 2 little girls.
I have a set of twins, Mandy and Madison, and I think with me, I become depressed because I wait till the last minute. And we all know that it's not good to wait till the last minute. I usually wait till the last minute to get the things that they have requested, and sometimes I don't find them because I have two to shop for, and that's kind of hard. But I think the most important thing for me, as far as not being depressed this year, is that it is such a blessing to have our military, most of our military family home, the soldiers home. In the past, I had a brother and also a nephew that was in the military, so that was a depressing time for us. But now that they're back, and I know we still have some military guys that are still, in other countries, but it helps me to just think about what they've done, and also to pray that the ones that are there will come home soon.
And I don't know about you all. I grew up in the country, and during the holiday season, we didn't ask for much. In fact, we didn't ask for anything. I didn't realize that a bag of apples and oranges, some candy, and maybe a little note or something was what a lot of kids from the country was getting for the holidays. And we didn't even complain. Never complained about it. Nowadays, parents are competing, in my opinion. They're trying to you're trying to make sure that you please the kids. And I don't know if we could do that.
I think a lot of it has to do with the peer pressure. Especially with my girls, they're always telling me, well, my friend got this, so I wanted the same thing. Right. And then when we were growing up, we didn't have that pressure. So it makes a difference.
Yeah.
We did.
Actually, we ran across one of the stockings that my parents used to get us with the different kinds of candies in it. That was a norm. Every year, you would get that stocking with the fruit, and that was plenty for us. It's just so amazing how things have changed with our children.
They've changed so much. We didn't even put up a Christmas tree. We didn't even pick, and never thought about it. Never questioned Mom about why don't we not have a Christmas tree. And see, right now, my son is wanting me to put up a second Christmas tree. So the demands are just there. As they get older, the demands are still there. But
something that happened to me that was very special. My son, my 13-year-old, decided to cook with me because that's what me and my mom used to do. We used to cook all night during Thanksgiving. And what he did was he came in the kitchen and he cooked potato pies, pecan pies. He stood right there with me and helped me cook till like 1 a.m. in the morning, and that was so special to me, and I was able to get through the Thanksgiving holiday because of his effort in trying to help his mom. I don't have a girl, but God gave me a boy who loves to cook. So that was something that was special to me.
One of the things for me looking forward to this holiday is I'm hoping that all of the girls are going to be home and we can have the big Christmas dinner that we used to, yet and still it's kind of overwhelming because I haven't had to prepare that large meal for them and the grandchildren. So I'm excited, but yet and still a little overwhelmed. But I know that the Lord is going to help me through it.
And I tried to add this up last night as I was writing my notes. Between us, we have 14 kids. We have husbands, 14 kids, and I believe 5 grandchildren.
Wow.
Among ourselves. I have 5, 3, and 3. And we're trying to make sure that they're pleased, they're happy. And sometimes, like you said, Lisa, my oldest son, he'll say something like, well, Mom, are you going to bake a German chocolate cake? And I'll say to myself, well, now I can do that. We're going to take a short break and come back and talk about this a little bit more. Welcome back to the Circle of Hope program. At this time, we have a special guest to come in. He is Dr. Maxie Gordon. He is a psychiatrist with the University Medical Center here in Jackson. Welcome to the program, Dr. Gordon.
Thank you.
We have some questions here for you, and I'll start with one. Do suicide rate rise during the holiday season?
Well, we think that the incidence of suicide may actually rise right after the holidays, after New Year's Day, according to some sources, and especially in men. We know that depression and holiday depression is a big issue during the holiday season itself, and there are several factors for that. But as far as the rate of suicide, they tend to peak right after the holidays.
After the holidays.
What are some of the symptoms to look for? What are some of the signs of depression?
One of the things we teach about the signs of depression is the old SIGI caps, which is a mnemonic which talks about the major symptoms that people tend to have. One of them is that they have decreased interest in things. They have suicidal thoughts. They may think about dying a great deal. They have guilt about things that have gone on in their past. They tend to isolate themselves. They have decreased energy, decreased interest in stuff that they normally would do during the holidays. Of course, we say they talk about isolating themselves, and they tend to talk about things from the past. But one of the other main things is that they will withdraw, and as a result, they won't participate in family functions and gatherings. And sometimes it's important to try and reach out to those individuals and get them to reach back to you.
Is there a difference between holiday blues and depression?
We think that there may be a difference between holiday blues, which is associated with just the stress of the holidays, and real clinical depression. Clinical depression is present regardless of what's going on. Those individuals can have things in their life that they consider perfect, but for some reason still feel sad. Over the holidays, the holiday blues that a lot of people like to talk about has to do with the fact that these individuals become stressed. They become overwhelmed with the idea of the holidays and the tasks that they have to do. Kind of like you were talking about earlier with the expectations of other people. So the holiday blues may be a reaction to all of the stressors that tend to take place during the holidays.
Yeah.
Can we avoid, what are some coping skills to avoid the holiday depression or getting into that phase of the blues, as is being used, the blues? Can we avoid the blues?
I think learning to cope better with the stressors will help a lot of people avoid this dip in their mood that tend to occur over the holidays in some situations. One of the things, of course, is deciding to set limits, deciding how much you can do. One of the things that I see in a lot of my patients is that they just do not have the ability to say no. And saying no is important, but we don't like to say no to other people because when we say no, it makes them not like us. We want to be liked. So to be liked, you have to say yes to everybody, right? But saying no is important.
Yeah.
The other thing is breaking big tasks up into smaller tasks and doing it a little bit at a time. When you look at a big task, you've got a big 29-foot tree to decorate, and you've got bulbs everywhere. It's important not to do that in the same day if possible. Just decide that you're going to put a third of the bulbs on and then go and do something else, do some time. The other thing is deciding that you want to do things that kind of give you some relaxation, something that you enjoy during the day. Other things, of course, have to do with being able to decide whether to invite people over that you really have difficulty with. Sometimes it's important to kind of call a truce over the holidays with relatives and in-laws, with neighbors, with people down the street from you. So those are things too to all take in account. And reaching out for help is also important. If you feel overwhelmed despite your best efforts, it's always important to reach out for help and communicate. Start by communicating with your spouse or other family members.
Well, I know there's a lot of lonely people during the holidays, and they'll let you know, I don't have any family and I don't know what I'm going to do for the holidays. What would you suggest that a person who does not have family can do in order to get themselves in the spirit and not just be alone during the holidays?
Well, we like to encourage people to kind of reach out during the holidays. This is a time for reaching out, for being happy, so to speak. So altruism is a big thing. Volunteering at your local community shelter, maybe at nursing homes. Most nursing homes have a department that handles volunteers, and so do hospitals, by the way. So kind of reaching out to other people, doing good things for other people. The other thing that I suggest to people is to put more thought and less money in your gifts. Okay, so that's one of the major things. Just shopping for things that are meaningful for people and that have some meaning to it, and not to be worried so much about the amount of money that you have to pay for the gift.
Yeah, and I think that rolls into the peer pressure with young people, them wanting this or that because the other person has it, and it just, poor mom, she's just sucked into it all the way.
Okay.
So I think that by learning coping skills, we'll get better with this. Let's pause though for a moment, and we'll come right back. Welcome back. Dr. Gordon, we are really bombarding you with a lot of questions, but it's just so important here. We want to make a difference with this program. We want to make a difference with families and health. And so we thank you so much for being here with us. But I want to pose a question here. What is the post-Christmas blues?
You know, the post-Christmas blues is actually the letdown that some people feel. I've heard it described as people who feel let down with things that happen over the holidays. Maybe the relatives stayed too long. You spent too much money. That tends to be a big one. And one of the things that we talked about, I'm certainly not into giving financial advice, but one of the things we talked about is setting limits on how much you're going to spend. A lot of people feel like they have to go out and do things just for everybody on their list to do something magnificent. And so what happens after Christmas is sometimes the bills tend to come in to let down. The other thing is that I didn't get what I want. I did not get an iPad for Christmas, therefore I'm just really sad. And for the one of you who mentioned an iPad earlier, that's on my Christmas list also. But so it's kind of a letdown. It's a combination of not getting what you wanted for Christmas, realizing that there are a lot of bills coming in from Christmas, and realizing that the quality of your interactions were not as good as you would have liked them to have been. And so there's a letdown after that. And so people tend to feel sad for a period of time after that. And the same techniques that we use for helping people through the holidays, meaning reaching out to others, finding ways to handle their level of stress, all of those things are important in helping with the post-Christmas blues.
You know, we've been meeting over the last couple of weeks and just talking about holidays in general, and we find that Mother's Day is a really hard day to overcome. There, you look at, one year you have a mom, and the next year you do not have a mom, and that's a real difficult holiday to get through when there is no mom. And I think Lisa and I have talked about that a great deal, and what, you know, her getting together with her sisters was a way to celebrate her mom still being here. Dr. Sanders, and I believe with you too, in the Mother's Day season is difficult to get through for you as well.
We've talked about that earlier, and what my strategy, it may not be a good strategy, but what I do is, as opposed to going to my hometown, to my mom's house, and to my home church sometime, I tend to stay home. And I stay home with my girls and my son, and we have Mother's Day at my house. But it's because I am somewhat avoiding the situation. I know that once I go to my mom's house, or if I go back to my home church, then sometimes I get depressed. And I know that may not be the right thing to do, so you probably can offer some suggestions for me around that time.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important that you come up with a strategy, and you can modify that strategy as time goes on. We think that avoidant strategies are probably not the best long term, but initially, if that's what you need to do in order to feel comfortable. But eventually what we'd like you to do is kind of work through things by talking with other members of your family. You may want to seek the help of a professional. It's important to know that what we say here today is not a substitute for a relationship with your professional, your medical professional or your counseling professional, but any strategy that helps you through the holidays initially that doesn't involve illicit substances or heavy use of alcohol is a good strategy. But eventually we want you not to avoid situations, to mainly discuss them openly and create new memories. It's important to be able to take the memories that you have but to create new memories for your family, because the traditions that you're accustomed to that you had with your family or with your mother and father, now you're creating traditions for your own family, and it's okay to modify those and to go forward with them.
Well, what do you think about people who say, well, you grieved enough for your loved one, putting a limit on your grief?
No, that's important, and that's actually...
Hold that point. Hold that point for a second. We're going to go to a break. Welcome back to the Circle of Hope show. Lisa was asking Dr. Gordon a question here, and we want to ask the question again, Lisa. So,
Dr. Gordon, I wanted to know, is there a time limit on grief? A lot of people will say that you grieved enough for a loved one, especially during the holidays when we are still grieving of the loss. Is there a time limit for grieving?
Well, grief is often a personal thing, and it has to do a lot with how you felt about the person in the time that you've known them. Now, in psychiatry, there is a time limit in which we feel that people have a normal grieving period. But it's been my experience that if you are grieving and it is not pathological grief, where you feel like dying yourself or you stop taking care of yourself and you're working through that grief, then you're making progress, and that is okay. So technically there is a time limit, but we know by experience that people don't often adhere to those time limits that we set in psychiatry.
Okay.
wow. When does holiday depression reach its peak for most people?
Not really sure if there's actually a peak. A lot of people tend to experience, they start to get this depression or these holiday blues beginning in the month of November as the holidays hit, and they tend to kind of continue and maybe have some increase during mid to late December, but we know a lot of people are relieved after the holidays are over, which is well after January the 1st. So I'm not sure if there's actually a peak, if there have been any studies done of when there's the highest peak. There are some trends that we know about. We know that especially for people who are in abusive situations, sometimes there's an increase in visits to shelters during the holidays, especially during the Christmas holidays. And so other things is that there are people who may tend to seek help more so in terms of reaching out to the people during the holidays or right after January 1st.
How can we help as a community? How can we help people to get through these kinds of illnesses? How can we, as a community, help and try to make a difference in these areas?
I think by reaching out to other people, making some programs available for them. The local mental health centers should have programs, especially this time of year. If people get to the point where they feel extremely depressed or suicidal or extremely hopeless, we feel that hopelessness is a risk factor for self-harm, we encourage them to call their local emergency room or local help numbers that may be available in the phone book.
Wonderful. Dr. Gordon, I want to thank you so much for coming on our show today, and we hope to see you sometime soon. I also want to thank Lisa Davis for being here today. I also want to thank Dr. Gwendolyn Sanders and also Dr. Dolores Thompson, who has stepped off the panel, but we want to thank her as well. And we want you to come back and share with us different areas. We'll be talking about family health. Just a wonderful program. So come back and join us again. Thank you.